Hello, ladies,
Hello.
coaches. How are you?
Good. Good.
Good. Well, we're here. I finally figured it all out. It's always something that we got to figure out, right? It's like, okay, it's so much going on the screen. How do I take all this stuff down? Do I just leave it up there? Am I going to be able to multitask it throughout the whole presentation? I don't know. We'll see. But those of you who are joining in, I think this will be a good broadcast to share out. So if you can share this out to, if you have groups, possibly maybe share it out to your groups, share it out to your personal page, and just invite people in, and let's really have a beautiful conversation today about a really uncomfortable. It's, a lot of people say it's uncomfortable to talk about, mental health, but more so about suicide. And today is suicide National Suicide Prevention Day, and so we're here as life coaches of the Global Institute for Coaches and Entrepreneurs. For those of you who do not know us, we are a bona fide mental health life coaching institute where we certify, train, and develop life coaches, really giving them the tools and the skills to not only be better for themselves, but also help others to adapt just a course of action and improving their own life. So here today, I have both of my lead coaches. They just really make my life so much better because they always push through and show up no matter what. So welcome to Coach 𝗂𝗁𝗃𝗁, all the way over there in the Philippines. Like right now, it's 9:20 a.m. on Saturday morning, and then we have Nappy Coach Nia, who's right here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and the owner of the Nappy Sanctuary up there in that McKinney area. She way on the other side. And she's still sitting at work. So I am going to let me stop share this so we can all kind of join, just kind of be side by side one another. Oh, y'all see? I think I'm getting better. I'm getting better at this. I am getting better at this. So I wanted to just have a day today because I think when you have a platform, you have also a responsibility. And when I really started committing to life coaching, like Coach K says, the universe chose me. The universe chose me, and then I help bring other people to the same responsibility. And for me, it's just a human life responsibility. Teaching others that, even even in your own suffering, you can lead. Even in your own suffering, you can be impactful in this life. And I don't think any of us is absent from suffering. I think we all suffer in our own way. It's inevitable. So having this institute, and we lost Kay for a minute, she'll be back. But having this institute has helped me to not only be kinder to myself, but also have patience with things that I don't understand. And I've met thousands of people, all around the world who share their beautiful stories. And we're going to really start getting into that on today as it relates to World Suicide Prevention Day. I've heard many stories from great people all around the world who they don't physically look sick, right? Because, people who suffer from mental illness, it's not a physical disability.
Right. Like, what does that look like? Like, you can't pass by somebody in the store and say, oh, they must have a mental illness. Like, it's not that. I think even when you first start to develop symptoms of mental illness, like when I first had the symptoms of depression, I didn't know what it was. I just knew something was off, like something wasn't right, but I couldn't quite pinpoint what it was, like to the point where it's like, I need to go to the doctor because this something is wrong. Like, I'm extra tired, I'm extra sad for no reason. I can't control my emotions, the brain fog. Like, I just knew something wasn't quite together. Where the lack of motivation is, because I used to be like that, really outgoing, wanting to participate in everything, and then it just like all stopped. But I couldn't pinpoint the moment of like, what is this feeling? So a lot of times we are dealing in mental illness and we don't even know we have it. So you can't look at a stranger on the street and say, oh, she's depressed, or oh, she has ADD, or she
You surely can't look at nobody and say that, right? Because if people only do, right? If people only do, that was a good point that you brought up, Nappy Coach, is when you talked about your symptoms, because if you really don't have the awareness of depression or any type of mental illness, then you don't understand that you will have a family member who's suffering, and you may say, oh my gosh, you're being lazy. They don't have motivation. Just all of those things. Why is your house always a mess? Because it's a true illness that you cannot see. It just cannot be seen, and I think that's very, very important. Those of you who are tuning in, thank you so much for tuning in. Hello, Coach. Hello, Coach Claire. Coach Claire says hello. And we have Coach Ronita that is here. Hello, Coach Ronita. So the coaches are popping in. Just make sure you share this out because, like I said, this is really just about awareness. We're being responsible, today and sharing this good energy that's needed all around the world. So Coach 𝗡𝘁𝗶𝗰𝗶𝗱𝗲, we were talking about that, when you're suffering from mental illness, it's not a physical thing that you see. Talk about a little bit about your symptoms, that people they're unable to see it, but it's something that you feel.
Yeah, it's Coach, like I would always reflect on it. Like I would challenge myself. Like I would think, like, do I really have it? Like, yeah, even if I've had, I love how Coach Mia is laughing.
Have it.
It's like with my story, like I've really sought professional help, like really multiple. So it's not just one, but two, but three, but four. So I've had different like experts telling me what it is, what it was, and so. But here I am. I would still ask myself, do I really have it? So I would still challenge until today. But of course, there are really symptoms that I cannot deny that they're there. Like for instance, suicidal ideation is for me is the biggest indicator because the nature of a person is survival. It's really survival. So for me, anything that go against my nature is something that there's something amiss there. That to me is a message. That to me is an information. So I would say that really automatically by default, if somebody else like gets into your space who will attempt to harm you, the natural reaction is to defend. So, and for me to think about it, taking my own life, that is just, I cannot really deny that.
Yeah,
That to me is the ultimate indicator. Yeah, anything that
yeah.
go against my nature.
Right. I mean, right, because I love when you said, become independent. You know what I mean? Because, when you're an adult, you don't want to depend on anyone, but it's definitely, just working with, growing up with a mother who suffered from clinical depression, and then also me dealing with my own, diagnosis of ADHD and anxiety. Um, my symptoms are not physical symptoms. It's
Mm,
it's it's an emotion, honestly, and it's an emotion that kind of takes a mind of its own. I could be having a perfectly good day. Anything can trigger, like anything can trigger, and I have to really tap into my tools for my resiliency tool set because now I understand what the triggers are. So let's kind of talk about triggers because people who are going through right now, you may be experiencing some symptoms and feeling like, you know what, I'm okay, I can handle this. Because I remember my mom saying, I'm okay and I can handle this before, I had to have her committed, right? So, what are your triggers? Have y'all identified even what your triggers are? Maybe
Um,
coach.
so as I've gotten older and looked more into depression, what I
Mm-hmm.
realized is that I was an empath, right? And so empaths can pick up other people's energy, so over peopling for me
Over peopling, I like that.
is a trigger.
yeah.
And like because I am a hairstylist and I hear other people's I'm in other people's energy all day.
Mm-hmm.
It's important for me to really wash off the day. Like when I go home, I have to
Mm-hmm.
find a way to really transmute that energy into something else because sometimes behind the chair it gets heavy.
Mm-hmm.
People want to talk, people want to vent, and it's like hearing the same or even different sad stories, or even, you know, even when it's a friend in distress,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes can be too much of a trigger just because I feel their energy. I feel the magnitude of what it is they're feeling, which will bring my energy down. Um, so that's a really big trigger for me. Over peopling, crowds
Yeah.
trigger the anxiety, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So I look at when I'm in an environment with a lot of people, parties, things of that nature. I notice, how like when you would go out with friends and they would be like, "Why she so stuck up and why she so awkward and why she so da da da." Well, really, she's having a panic attack. She's like
Right. She's
having
protecting her mental health.
like the social anxiety in the room because that anxiety tells you like they're judging me, they're thinking about me. How do I come across to people? When I said hello, you know was it okay that I said hello in the right tune? It
Right.
comes in so many layers. It's an onion of so much. And so just being comfortable with being myself. So being out in crowds of people for too long
Mm-hmm.
is a trigger. It's definitely a trigger for
Mm.
me.
I'm glad that you said that because a lot of people don't understand that it's a compounded thing, right? So it's something that almost like peanut butter and jelly. Who eats peanut butter without jelly or something that gives it that little sweet taste or whatever? So even with depression, um, it's compounded with, it's like I have depression, but I also have this anxiety. I also have, suicidal ideation. I also have, these panic attacks. So it can really be overwhelming. What about you, Coach K? About, have you figured out your triggers?
Me, coach, my trigger is it's internal and external. So
Mm-hmm.
for internal, that's it's really my when I'm judging myself for not doing good, like not putting out enough Like I
Mhm.
judge myself all the time because I have such a high standard for myself, like for productivity, for consistency, name it. Like, when I get into inaction, for me, when it's in action, oh, that triggers me a lot. Like, and then the second one is the external, is more like Coach Nia's. It's the energy of people. Like, that's the reason why I don't watch television. Like, I don't read the news, because, oh my goodness, like, it can bring me into that space. So it's also that the energy, and it really drains me. I feel it drains me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the term. Like, it drains me.
Yeah, it is very, it can be very crippling, and people don't understand that because you can't see it. You know what I mean? And for me, it's also peopling, when I like severe level of adulting, right? And it's like I'm really aware of it. So Coach Nia mentioned empath, but the average person, haven't heard of that word, but it's something that you feel like if you're in a space, you could be having like a really, really good day, but if you're in a space with a lot of people, it could be a downer and you can immediately feel it, right? And it's really not even your energy. It's like you're taking on the energy of a particular space. And so if you've never heard of empath, like you don't have to hear about it, but it's something that you definitely can feel. I'm really proud of myself to know what my triggers are and to know how to immediately take action to, self-care, to self-soothe, to, activate my resiliency. So hello, Chef Raven, how are you? Thank you for joining in. Go ahead and share this out. We're talking about, mental health, and today is World Suicide Prevention Day. So thank you for tuning in. I want to get,
Coach.
yes.
Coach, I want to add to that. Like, I want to capture it in layman's, like my triggers discomfort. I would say it's really
Mhm,
discomfort.
mhm.
Like, whenever I'm put in a situation where it's so uncomfortable, or so, like, there's pain, like,
Yeah.
whether it's emotional or physical, I can go into that. Yeah, yeah.
I think they're
Mm,
both one and the same. Like when you understand that your emotions can be tied to physical illness,
Mm,
um, like I think Master Coach, you always say that we have two brains. We have the one in the one up here, and then we have our gut. But your heart is also part of the brain function too. And
right.
so when your thoughts are not clear here, it turns up physically in your body. That's how I knew that something was wrong, like the fatigue, of depression. When you don't want to get out of bed, you don't want to be in sunlight. So I know, like, to counteract some of those things, I have to go outside and get sun.
Oh, say that again, Nappy Coach.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's important to be in sun. It's important to be in nature. It's important to be around people who bring good energy. You don't want to be around those people who bring you stress or cause you the anxiety. So it's like, because it all shows up physically, you
Yeah.
know. If you're in the presence of someone who gives you bad energy, you come home and you have a migraine headache and you don't understand why you have a migraine, but it was because of the energy that you were in. So, what shows up mentally affects you physically, what you eat, all of that stuff. It all shows up.
Yeah. It all shows up. And when I was diagnosed with an attention deficit disorder as a younger child, but when it pivoted to a hyperactivity and took over my mind, I was about 30 or 31. And really what happened is I walked into my closet and couldn't find anything. But it had been that way for a while. It was a total mess. Like I'm so junky. It's easy for me to get disorganized. It's easy for me to have with all the space that I may live in, I swear I'm like a tornado, like every room, when I'm not in awareness that that I'm really kind of, discombobulated. So if you look around your space, like I tell people all the time when people call me and ask me, how do I know that I'm suffering? That's a question that people ask. How do I know that I'm suffering? And I normally just tell them, look at the environment that you live in. Look at the environment that you live in. And if it's in a total disarray, if you can never like get it together, like, I don't care how long it takes me all day just to clean my bathroom. Literally, it's like an 8-hour job. It literally is when I am like really in my symptoms. And what does my symptoms look like? And I want you to also share yours. It looks like days of not sleeping. Like I can literally go days with sleeping 1 or 2 hours every day and still waking up and functioning. But that is not normal. And we think that it's so normal because it's like, oh, we on a grind. No, your body is breaking down mentally. It's breaking down. Also, my eating habits change. I go from really being in a healthy state of eating to not being in a healthy state of eating. It may just turn to ice cream or things that I really know that also causes other effects with my other brain, which is my gut. And I'm so in awareness of that, but it's kind of like what feeds the anxiety, what feeds the emotions that I'm having. So my eating changed, my environment changed, and I immediately just want to go in isolation. Like I don't want to be bothered with people. I just don't. Mm-hmm. Right. And so that's how I know. What about y'all? What about you, Coach K? What are some of your what are your symptoms like when you know, okay, I need to do something? What starts to happen?
Mine is when I don't want to get up. Like really, because my default self-soothe strategy is to sleep.
So
yeah,
you're oversleeping.
Yeah, because I like when I'm overwhelmed, when everything like the stimuli around me, like when it's just too much, like because in my case, coach, like everything, like I become too sensitive to everything, to noise, like to sound, like even the sound of aircon, like the air conditioning, Coach Nia,
Yes.
like that one. Oh my God, like
everything. Yes.
Yeah, the electric fan, like and it's so like even my fan, I needed to buy a very like it's what do you call this? The sound I really carefully chose that it's not as loud as the other, brands. And then I would know it because my brain would just like, it's like a computer. It will just choose like automatically shut down. And then I would feel that overwhelming desire to lie down. And then the moment I hit the bed, I sleep, because to me that's the safest thing to do. For me, like, come on, Kate, like you don't harm yourself, you don't harm anyone else, because it's like harming physical or like verbal, like I would lash out or I would share. Because what I avoid is really to share with someone else, because I really like when I get to a point where I share it with somebody, it's the courage to do that is so huge, because the control that I needed to, because I don't want to share it, because I don't want to be a burden to anyone, and I don't want to pass on that energy. So mine is really like when I sleep a lot. Like, yeah, when I'm in bed a lot, that to me is the ultimate, like it's an emergency mode for me. So I literally need to drag myself out of bed and just, like what Coach Nia said, like look up, like get out, like notice the green trees and the whatever grass, and then just for change of environment. So yeah, mine is really that too much sleeping. Oh
Yeah,
my
that's good.
goodness.
Look, child, I wish I had that problem, but I do not. The sleeping thing is not mine. What about you, Abby Coach?
You know, it's funny because it could be either or.
Mm-hmm.
If I have insomnia, I kind of know that that's a trigger that it's coming. Once it arrives, I want to sleep.
Yeah.
Getting out of bed every day, getting dressed. I know when like I'm up because I have to, right? Because you operate out of obligation. But when you don't even really take the time to like, you're just throwing on something like, because you don't really care. So when I know when I don't really care, you know, like I'm just
when you look in the mirror, you like, oh,
it is what it is, right? Like it is what it is.
Yeah.
And then when there's a lack of motivation, like that, where you shrink, you don't want to show up. Also, when I am overly involved in somebody else's business. Because usually when someone is depressed, usually the depressed friend you don't know, right? Because the depressed friend looks like the strong friend. They look like they're not going through anything.
Yeah.
When really the strong friend is really listening to your issues and your problems to avoid their own.
Yeah.
So if I'm overly involved, I know like I have to check myself. Like, you know, so if I'm not sleeping, you know, where you know it's like 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, I ain't sleep.
Look, we all be up together. It'd be so funny. You know, Coach K will inbox me, be like, why are you up? And I'm like, why are you up? And then I'll text you or something like, we just be up.
Right. So it's like extremes of insomnia to the next extreme of like wanting to sleep all the time. You know, like it's too much for me to grasp this energy to function in the world today. So I just want to sleep. Or total isolation. You know, you're not answering phone calls. You're not interacting with friends. You don't want to go out. You don't
want to return a text.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute, did I return your?
And you just want to unplug your internet connection.
Yes.
Switch off your phone.
All of these are true symptoms, and a lot of people don't understand that. You know, it's just like, oh, it's normal because society has made it normal to grind hard, especially as entrepreneurs, to grind hard. So let me ask you this really sweet question, right? So, you know, we all suffer, right? We all suffer. I can say that I haven't had suicide ideations, but I have, you know, really dealt with a lot of clients that have, I dealt with my mother who was suicidal at a certain time of her life, and dealing with that. Why life coaching? Like, what makes you qualified to, you know, if people are listening to this, they like, shit, I don't want to hire them. No, let's write their names down. Let me make sure. Yeah. So what, you know, me really owning, you know, an institute that is very grounded into mental health, and finding other like-minded hearts that really look just like mine. What brought you into life coaching? Like, which one of you want to start that?
What brought me into life coaching?
And what makes you qualified to?
You brought me into life coaching. So, you know, it's like that's something that you don't know, but you know you need to know. I don't know if that even sounds right, but what brought me into coaching is I felt like I needed to be I needed something more. I needed something bigger, right? And because 𝗫𝗫 is really built on a heart foundation, and it really focuses on, I think our industry focuses on self-development. Like if you help yourself first, you can help anybody else. In the midst of your own healing, that you can heal somebody else, you know? Because we're human. We don't know it all. We don't have all of the answers, but sometimes you just need somebody else to change your perspective.
Yeah.
Or it's like that tidbit of something that you hadn't heard before that now triggers a thought that makes you become a better you. And that's what becoming a life coach did for me, because we are trained in money mindset. We are trained in,
which is a big trigger, right? For mental,
big trigger, especially
trigger.
Definitely one of mine, you know, finances, environmental. You learn how to really define what your core values and your core principles are. I think that was like the main thing for me, is to define what those core values were. And then when I realized, like, these are my core values, but I don't have any boundaries because I'm allowing people to constantly cross over my boundaries and impede upon my core values. So when you learn the tools of like, no, like it's okay to say no, that it's a complete sentence, especially if this is your core value and that it's been violated. It's okay to use your voice to say no. And life coaching giving you the tools on how to stand firm on the foundation of those boundaries.
Right.
How to hold your head up high. How to, you know, like I said, money mindset, your core values and principles, all of those things. And so as I heal, I can recognize in other people where they need their healing at too.
Right.
And I can help facilitate that.
That's really good. That's good. What about you, Coach K? What makes you qualified to help others heal?
Really, like with me, very simple. What makes me qualified is I live with all this shit every day.
Yes.
And I am doing the work. And I'm doing the work to really address, to face the challenges. And you know what, Coach, like I got into coaching because I already had like service providers in the past. I was a psychiatrist at that time. I was on medication, and I'm a psychology major by background, education, and then, you know, my master's is on public health. So like when a client would like I work with teens, but parents would be the first people that I get to talk to. So they ask me, what are your credentials? And I would say, well, my background is this, that in education. But I would say, but it's not what really made me qualify for this job. Yeah. It's really because I had my own suffering. And until today, I continue to suffer as a human being with all my challenges. But I am skilled, like I'm highly trained and highly, you know, I read a lot, I research a lot, and I know so much because I apply it to my own self. So really, like when I get to face a client, in my mind, you cannot get this from anyone else except me. Because the compassion that I feel for you, that I have for your child, is unmatched. Like I want that word of Coach Kenda whenever she says unmatched, because it just brings me to that space of, yes, you are unmatched because you understand. Like you know, it's different when you understand it theoretically versus you understand it because you experience it. It's just so different. Like I'm a psychology major, but I didn't realize what really is mental illness and mental challenges when not until I became a sufferer. So it's different. But really the qualification is, until today I'm working on it. And so I know that when you come to me, I am way ahead of the game. So that's the reason why I can help you with it, because you are on the journey. I am on the journey, but
I'm a
I
little
have,
further ahead than you are.
yes,
Right.
Coach Leah. You know what, Coach Leah? Like, I'm further ahead, but I'm going to come back, go back to where you are, so that I can bring you where you want to go, because I've already gone ahead.
Yeah.
I've seen the process, but I want to go back to bring you, to
Mhm.
guide you where you want to go.
And
So
really,
that's the qualification.
when you think of your clients, right? Like those clients that are attracted to you are truly a reflection of you.
Yep.
Where you've been, where you're going. It's a reason,
Yeah.
it's a divine reason why these people come into your life.
Yeah,
And
I
so,
agree.
you know, like my grandmother used to say, you know, Southern Baptist is, you know, your testimony isn't for you. Your testimony is for somebody else. Your testimony, the story is what heals. And so when you get into entrepreneurship and sales, they always tell you to like share your story, because
Yeah.
people will buy into that part of you, whether it's broken and they see where you were broken and now you are repaired. Like, I seen her go through that. Can she coach me go through that? It's like nobody wants to let you be their weight loss coach if they don't know that you lost weight.
Yep. Yep.
So why would you want me to be your life coach if I haven't experienced life?
Or you're a business coach. Okay, I'm not going to go there.
You know,
we're dealing with mental health today. Let me not go there on the soapbox.
Well, you know, it's like I had a client not too long ago who said that she had a friend who became a marriage coach, but she had only been married a year. And she was like, I have 25 years on this chick. Why would I go to her who hasn't been married but this short amount of time? And I've been married 30 years. Why would I go to her to coach me on my relationship? I'm eons, but like me and my husband have been through the gutter and back, and we're still together. I have multiple testimonies of how we've overcome that. She has none. So when you're seeking out a life coach, you want somebody who's experienced what you're going through.
Right. What is it that you think they want, right? So it's the experience, but from the experience, what is it that you think the client truly want from you as a coach?
Accountability. An ear to listen.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Coach K? What do you think a client really wants from, it's almost like going to church, right? Like, what do we really want from the pastor? So what do a client really want from you?
I want to add to what Coach Nia said. It's accountability. It's a safe space, like where you are listened to, and really beyond that, it's now where the coaching skills, the mastery of the process of coaching, that they really need and want. Because we can go to our friends for support, but it's just, that's fellowship and that's friendship, and but beyond that, they need a professional, they need us, because we have the skill set, we have the tools, we have the strategies that we have tested out. That's really the difference, because we've tested it out. Our own lives is our laboratory. So so they come to us, they pay for us, not for friendship and fellowship, but to really help them, cross over, survive, survive the obstacle.
Yeah, they really want the non-judgment. I had a client this week, who, really successful, but it was okay for her to say to me and me not have judgment, because I know what it feels like. I haven't brushed my teeth in 2 days, and say it with such freedom, because she knows that I'm about to give her the accountability, right? To, okay, let's brush our teeth. I'm talking about a person who makes $170,000 a year, and now they're in a state of
But she's depressed.
Yeah, she's in, and she's like, I just noticed, because I went and looked in this mirror. I finally stopped and looked in the mirror and opened my mouth and was so disgusted, because I've been eating, but I ain't brushed my teeth in 2 days. And not seeing a shock on, on my face or anything like that. And it's just like, okay, well, let's activate, the skill. So what is it that we need to do right now? And that's the beautiful thing about when people ask me, well, how am I fit to be a life coach? And I say, oh, if you've experienced life, you're so fit for it, especially if you're still alive. Suicide is the last resort when you've given up, when you feel nothing has worked, no one has came to your aid, to help you to journey out of it, And so for me, life coaching is the true preventive measure. It's the holistic approach to therapy and counseling to really just help with the preventive measures of before you jump off the cliff. You may be on the journey, that the cliff may be here, but you here, and it's like I'm on this journey, and I really don't want to, so I need the skill. So let me ask y'all this: how do we treat it? How do we treat suicide? How do we treat mental illness? What are your thoughts on that?
I want to go first, Coach, because I want to piggyback on what you said about really, the non-judgment, the non-judgmental space, because that is so powerful. Like for me, treating suicide, treating the symptoms begins with that, because when there is non-judgment, real conversations, it's like, come on, this is a space where there's no judgment.
Yeah.
Why don't we really sit down and talk about what is this mess all about? So for me, that's the beginning of treating it, like really facing it head on, straightforward, eye to eye. Let's talk about it. And that's really where coaching comes in, because when we get into a coaching conversation, it's, and I think, Coach, no, this is where I see it, because coaching is non-prescriptive. We don't describe, and so that alone, because for me, when you put labels, when you put the prescriptions and all that, that to me is a form of judgment in a sense, like in not in a negative way, because we, when we describe, it's really to help another person. But to me, that is the beginning, and then we can have the real conversation, and then, as you said, it's a holistic approach. So the coaching process can be a mental, can be an approach for mental energy, for mental well-being. But then we cannot set aside that the person, the whole human being that we are comprised of, like, the physical form, the mind, the spiritual. So if I'm to mention just four, I would say it's the physical, the mental, the spiritual, and of course the emotional. So but we talk about all the dimensions of wellness, which are really like 8. If you search it on the internet, it's like 8. There could be 7, there could be more. So there's finances, and everything. So it really depends on the client. So I would say treating it is really sitting down, identifying what is the problem, and then the solution, the holistic approach. Yes. And I would say, Coach, it all boils down to skills. It all boils down to skills, because as I reflected on it, like going into our live today, I was thinking like how important really is like a skill. Yeah. Because a skill, because before, like 2 years ago, I was saying it's love that can cure mental illness. And I actually have a book that I haven't finished yet. So it's really challenging humanity that what we really need is love. And then today I said, love is not enough, because it's actually the skill that will save a life. And
That's
the analogy that I had in mind there was the concept of when you see a loved one drowning, if you cannot swim, if you don't know how to save, that love for that person is not going to be enough. So that's where I say coaching skill, it's a skill, whatever that skill is, that is the one that will save life. So that's really treating. Yeah,
that's
that's
good.
treating. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if we have anything to say after that, right? Right? Right. How do we treat it? It is, and that's the reason why we heavily promote life coaching. We promote life coaching because it is the skill set of a life coach that gives us like all three of us. It helps me to just want to get out of bed every day. It helps me because I do have that skill set of resiliency. I have the skill set of self-care. I have the skill set of understanding what that is for me. Positive self-talk, like how I speak to myself, right? How I have boundaries and what those boundaries mean.
Right.
And then how do I commission my own life to want to live every day? Defining that for myself, that's truly a skill set that that really has to be taught and learned, even as an adult, right? And so I really say that for me, how do we treat it? It's really creating hope through an action plan. If I had to really define it, it's giving a person an action plan that they can adapt to, that even on their lowest day, they can take it, they can look at it and say, it's enough for me to get up and want to live. Because I know I have somebody that's going to hold me accountable. And like you said, love is not enough, but I know I have someone there as well. The love is also there. The support is there. The accountability is there. And, a lot of people they go unseen. They go unseen. They go unheard. And I think that's kind of like when we just kind of blank out, because neither one of you cannot respond to me and not think that I'm not going to hunt you down, right? Y'all already know that, right? So, we've experienced it, right? Like, has anybody seen Kay? I'm all over in the Philippines, because we need that support collectively, but everybody don't have it.
Yeah.
So, so how do we give it? Like, how do we give it? And I really want to talk about our initiative at the end before we close out, because this is something that has been like weighing really heavily on my heart. Just not even when the pandemic happened. It was way before the pandemic that we really started brainstorming. How can we provide a platform that is going to teach, teach the skill set of self-help, of self-care, that is going to give a platform that is going to create hope and help people to create an action plan where their life feels worthy, not some of the time, but all of the time. Just having that space. And so we created our Be Kind movement. And the Be Kind movement, what we're suggesting is that we want to provide 1,000 families, right, with free mental health services, because we know that, whenever you are in a place of service and you help one person, that it's a domino effect, right? So if you take 1,000 families and we educate them on how they give back, give back the gift, that's another 1,000 families and another 1,000 families, really, less than $1 a day. Less than $1 a day that our coaches are ready to dive in and be that gift of hope for families that truly are in need. And then we're working with different agencies and schools to bring those people to us globally, And so this is a true global effort How do y'all feel? Think of when you really started going through your mental illness experiences. What did that support space look like? Like, was it like a be kind space, or was it an absence of it? Like, what is it that you needed and you just did not have at the time?
I think I needed that job, that when you say, when both of you said like a place of non-judgment, because receiving the diagnosis of depression, right, especially in minority communities, like, child, you ain't depressed, you ain't got time to be depressed, you strong, you can do that, just pray about it. I needed someone, because you can't pray depression away. Yes, prayer is good in all instances, but I needed to not be ashamed. I think that's why, like, when you say, like, you and Coach K both have said, I suffer with, I need to replace that word, right? Because I feel like we don't need to suffer. Like, it shouldn't be suffering. It should really be a non-judgmental place where you don't have to be ashamed, where you can have that freedom to be exactly who you are. Because sometimes the depression and the shame and you shrink because you're not comfortable in your own skin. And so to be around a tribe of people, like when you say life coaches, when you say persuading people to be life coaches, it's a safe space. It's a non-judgmental space. It's knowing that when I see you, I see me, and that I don't have to suffer in shame. I don't have to suffer at all. And I shouldn't be ashamed of it. It should be a truly non-judgmental place to help me reprogram the chemical imbalance in my brain.
Yeah, that's good. And in our Be Kind community, because we are an institute of life coaches that also is credentialed. So we're credentialed by Texas Medicaid. So we also have that component, but even that's not enough. So even with us being able to take certain medical insurances, some medical insurances, when you're talking about mental health care, they only have an allotment of 5 sessions. 5 sessions is not enough. So we have truly created a community where it is a virtual community where we will be providing daily support, because there will always be someone there. But the biggest thing is, Coach 𝗂𝗍𝗧 said it perfectly, is we will be teaching the skill set, because we know what is needed in order to survive every single day, because it's a platform of people who have chosen to wake up every day and choose life, in spite of what our internal battles are. We finally just have created our own help and hope solution for ourselves. And I think that's the perfect environment for families to come into. So there is a support system that is non-judgmental, because it's not like the families judge purposely. They just don't understand.
Right.
They don't understand the daily struggle, because unless you're physically deformed, no one is. I just remember even my mom, like, when she started getting sicker and sicker and sicker, people would say, yeah, but she doesn't look sick, and when she's around, her spirits are up. But that's because that's a coping skill, right? But that doesn't mean that suffering isn't still happening. And I'm glad that she finally had got the help that she needed. But I also remember her saying that, younger, when she was really going through it as a teenager, she wished that there were more services to help, because maybe she would have had less suffering as an adult if she truly had that skill set to choose herself first, learn what boundaries are, learn how to, choose life and love life and make a commitment to yourself. Like, we think that's so, like that's a normal thing that you should know. But if so, everybody in the world would be freaking successful. If everybody just really had that skill set, everyone would be so freaking successful. There wouldn't be homelessness. There wouldn't be drug addiction, alcohol addiction, abuse, abusive relationships. There wouldn't be, homicide. There wouldn't be any of that if we truly had all of the emotional intelligence and personal development skills needed to choose life every single day. And so we have created the Be Kind community, and our motto is one child, one family, one community at a time. Because this is what I will say. One person can affect a whole entire community. One person that has fallen off the rocker, if you will, can truly cause a total disruption in the community. And gun violence, when people talk about the access to gun violence, to guns, and the access to drugs and the access to alcohols, if you think about inner city communities, there's an alcohol store on every freaking corner. Now here in the state of Texas, you don't have to even have ID or whatever the stupid law is to go and buy a gun. So you have all of this access to end a life, but we don't have a lot of access to help save a life. And so that is what the Be Kind community is. And what we want is, I was thinking about, Kendra, like, we can really sit and maybe, do a grant, but I don't feel that we should have to do that. It's enough of us in this world, who all have experienced something, even when we experience loss of a loved one, that is traumatic. That's like a post-traumatic stress that we take on. Some people recover from it, some people don't. So we all experience some type of mental ailment that throws us, for a loop where we're not functioning at our highest capacity every single day. So if one person, could partner to pledge, let's just say you could not pledge. So $357 a year, I think it is, where we will provide full, mental health services to not just one person, but the whole family, because it really takes a whole unit to heal. And if you can't do it alone, just find another partner to help pledge with you. And so what we give you is it's a Be Kind box. I want y'all to use it. Just get your phone and get that QR code, or go to B as in boy, it.ly/Be Kind pledge. So Be Kind pledge, and it's all in lowercase words and letters. You can go and you can hear about the pledge. I have a video there, and you can read about the pledge. But it only takes one person to save a life, and it only takes one person to take a life, and it only takes one person to take their own life that would affect the whole family, and that can also affect the whole community. So if we can come together as community leaders, as community partners, as people of influence, and just work together to push this movement, or it doesn't even have to be our movement. Just go to a platform that is like really supporting mental health, and see how you can be of service. Because like I said, we have so much more access to take a life, right? But we have very little access to save. And we have our nurses are burnt out, our doctors are burnt out, our public service people are freaking burnt out. So even they are in major suffering. So this is something really, really, really important for all of us. And we're providing our resource. So we can teach the skills to bring people back to the resiliency that they need to survive every single day. And no, we talk about the stigma, and the stigma is not that you're crazy. At the end of the day, we all just need that nurture. We all need it at some point in our lives. You know what I mean? Do y'all have anything to add on that?
Me, Coach, what I would like to add to that is what really sets this apart, our Be Kind initiative, is what I have in mind is the word quality. Because in here, it's a community. It's a community of people wanting to get well, and people who would want to support others who would want to get well. And when you asked earlier, like what was missing when I went through my journey, it's really that community. That is the like the right community, because I've searched, like in my journey before, like I really joined multiple groups, and what I was looking for was a community that there is no judgment. And so we are it's okay to say your darkness and all that, your struggles and suffering, but then there is the what's next. Because what I noticed in my journey that time was I found myself in spaces where we would talk about it, and then I would find myself all the more deep into the loop, like, because there was no way out. So that's the difference for this one, because we are a community that are really skilled. We know we have the strategies and the tools, so that because we know better, we can do better, we can help better. So it's really like, if you don't, like, even Coach, like I was thinking, if you don't know what to do yet, because as I said earlier, it's the skills that will save a life. So we're talking about here the internal and the external. So your personal skill to survive the moment it hits you, and also the skills to support, because we are all human beings, and suffering, challenges are, it's part of the spice of life. So we will always find someone who is needing help, like regardless of how small or how big the challenge is. So we will be able to have the skill for ourselves, and then also be able to support someone. And that's the beauty of the Be Kind community, because it's really that, like, one family at a time. So we bring the skill to one family, and the whole energy changes, because as you said, Coach, it's really a domino effect. So yeah, so it's that's the beauty of our Be Kind initiative.
Yes. Do you have anything to add, Nappy Coach?
For anybody out there who's watching and you've been thinking there's nothing left, and you're about to jump off the cliff, but you're on this video, it's for a reason. Reach out. If the medication isn't working, if the therapy isn't working, maybe it's just time to get a coach. Maybe it's time to have that person from a non-judgment space that has the skill set to teach you the tools to survive. Don't let today be the last day. Don't give up. Don't give up yet, because you're needed. You're needed in this world. Your heart is needed. And I understand that it may be painful and it may hurt and you don't know where to turn, but divinely you were guided here. So don't turn off the video and not reach out. Don't let this be the last day. You don't have to suffer. You don't have to suffer. You can actually thrive in mental illness. Tomorrow's a better day. The sun is going to shine again. It may hurt. Sometimes healing, when you have a wound, it takes a while for the wound to heal. But healing is here. You don't have to check out. Don't let this be the day.
Yeah.
Let us help yourself by letting us help you.
Right.
And
That's
what
good. That's so good. And I like, hello, Queen Vendella. Thank you for joining us. Hey, Richard, thank you for joining us. I love how you said don't give up, but it's you know, when we say that, we know that today is really the energy around it is for World Suicide Prevention Day, but also don't give up on your dreams. You know, don't give up on your dreams. Don't give up on, you know, the desire to want to succeed, the desire to want more. Because I will say that for those people who, you know, they haven't they have enough resiliency to maybe not, they're not having suicidal ideations, but they are now experiencing, you know, those sleepless nights, wanting to isolate, the self-beating, the, you know, the insecurities, the imposters that, you know, all of that is truly signs that you may wake up tomorrow and it just be totally out of control. So if you are a person that even is struggling with staying on task, like staying on task and having that interpersonal motivation, having that energy to keep getting up, that resiliency energy to keep getting up and not giving up on yourself, giving up on your dreams, giving up on, you know, maybe applying for that promotion, maybe starting your business, maybe, you know, taking parenting classes because you need to, you know, be a better parent. Like just all of the things that are going to personally develop you into a better person. It could be not giving up on your self-care. Maybe, you know, you need to go to the doctor because, you know, you're experiencing the same type of pains or symptoms in your body. You know that you need to self-care more. You know, you need to take a break. You know, you need to go on a vacation. You know, it's these things that you know you should do, but you're still choosing not to do it. Those are signs that you are truly suffering. Your body is suffering and your body is crying out for help. So we do have a platform here at the Global Institute for Coaches and Entrepreneurs. You can check out our website, which is global. We have some coaches on here, so if y'all can put it in the feed for us, it's www.globalcoachentrepreneur.org, and you can go to our Hire a Coach. We do have a Hire a Coach section that you can try a coach out and truly get a hold on your life. That's what the link. If you look at that picture, we are a linkage in the world. We have thrown out our rope. And we are truly ready to serve everyone globally, regardless of your ethnicity, your sexual orientation, religion. It doesn't matter. We are a melting pot. And this is what the world really needs. And this is what the 𝗏𝗏𝗃 community is all about. It's for all people. No one no longer has to be left behind if we all just come together. So we're asking you, I'm asking you, the lead coaches that are here are asking you to join us on this mission and finding companies, finding, you know, these influencers to help stand behind our 1,000 family mission and providing services. So we can teach the skill set of resiliency, of mental resiliency, of waking up every day and choosing life. Because even in my own suffering, I love living. I love life. Every day I wake up with an excitement of how can I be better within myself, and then how I can help improve other people's life every single day. It's my mission. So I appreciate, man, this was great. I told y'all, they just like, Master Coach, are we gonna we got questions, we got a script? I'm like, no, we just gonna talk it out. We just gonna talk it out. That's one power word. Let's give everybody one power life word to walk away with? If you want to say the meaning behind it, you can say the meaning behind it. So I'm going to start first, because you already know I'm going to say, love is my word, because I love that Coach K said that love isn't enough, but for me, it's still needed. People need to feel love. And it's like an agape love. It's like the love that I feel every day from an unseen person or thing, or whatever you want to call God, because that's, I'm a God girl. So, but it's the love that I feel from something that I can't physically see, but I can feel it. I can feel something wanting me to be here. So love is going to always be the center and the core of the Global Institute for Coaches and Entrepreneurs. So that's what I want to leave everybody with today. What about you, Coach K?
This is it. Yeah, I love that. Love is the biggest why. That's the most compelling. Yeah, and my word would be life. Because I'm speaking from, like, if you are a sufferer, if you are suffering, if you're challenged, your life matters. And if you have someone who is suffering and you don't know what to do, it will still boil down to life. Because, as I would always say, and I believe that if there is a success indicator about mental health and wellness, it's really life. So whether you are, like, whatever decision that you have in mind, like, the question is, will this preserve life? Because at the end of the day, to me, it doesn't matter how messy that life is, so long as it's there. So long as you still see it. Like, I would always say, so long as you stay alive, and, like, let's deal with whatever mess after we make sure you're alive.
Yeah.
So this is both for those who are challenged and those who have someone who is challenged because they are in the same space of someone who's suffering. Because suffering is really, like, it's also just as love and power and empowerment is, like, has domino effect. So was suffering. So yeah, go back to life. Like, to me,
go
that's
back to life. Love, go back to life. And what about you, Nappy Coach?
Purpose. It's a reason why you're breathing. It's a reason why your heart beats. You're purposed for something. That's the reason why you're here. Let's find it. Let's find it together. With love and you living life, we can get you to your purpose. But you're purposed for something. You woke up this morning, you're breathing, your heart is beating, because you are still purposed. God has you here for a reason. You are purposed. So let's get the skill set and the tools to find out what your purpose is, so that you can love life and live it in abundance, whatever that looks like for you. Because I can't define your abundance. Only you can define your abundance. But together we can define your purpose.
Y'all are some smart chicks, I'm telling you. So love life with abundant purpose. And if you are looking for more in your life and you want to become a certified life coach, I challenge you to try us out. We do offer a 2-day intensive certification. We offer it virtually and also in person. This month on the 18th and 19th is our last in person for for the year, and it's you still have time to register for that course. But become a life coach. Become a life coach and learn your own skill set so you can also impact and empower your own family and your own community. So we're always our mission is 1 million life coaches, 1 million life coaches. As Coach 𝗂𝗶𝗃𝗃 would say, one life coach in every home is our mission. And so we also welcome you in becoming a certified life coach with the Institute. Well, this was great, ladies. You know, everybody, thank you for tuning in for National World Suicide Prevention Day. And for those of you who, you know, it's like, how can I help? If you don't know how to help, there is a National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, and that number is 1-800-273-8255. Write that down. You can also call just to see what the call looks like. I've called before, but because sometimes I've given it to my clients. So it's the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, and that number is 1-800-273-8255. So if you don't know anything to say to help save a life, you can always encourage a person that is in need to call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. And so thank you so much for tuning in. If you have not shared this out, I think it's worthy for a share. Go ahead and share it out. And we love you over here. Like we said, love life and live it abundantly with purpose. Something like that. Okay, I was close. I was close. So thank you, everyone. Have a beautiful weekend. Those of you who are on the other side of the world, you're already thriving in your Saturday. Find peace. Find your own peace within, and then share it with others, because it's really all about your story that truly makes the world a better place when people hear your resiliency and your healing story. So bye for now, everyone.